Hey everybody, Matt Michaels here on the DeFalco Files with the owner and creator of FSW, the future stars of wrestling here in Las Vegas, Mr. Joe DeFalco. Joe, wow, man. Um, a lot has gone on within the last 7 days. I don't think, in my recollection, you can say that you've been more successful or busy in the past almost 2 decades.
There's so much obviously that has happened since we started FSW in 2009, but it was, you know, mark it down in the history books. Saturday, January 24th, 2026, our job was to go out and show, Mark, the CEO of the HyperX Arena, a
Right.
guy who vaguely knew wrestling. He trusted Kyle, who is a huge wrestling fan. We need to do this event. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great. And, we've had meetings. I met with him Tuesday and Wednesday, and he didn't know what to expect. And, it was a slam dunk. It's amazing what came out of the meetings after the conversation on Wednesday is we now have full access to that place.
Sure.
March 28th, we have a show set in stone. WrestleMania week, which was up in the air until we produced, is a done deal. We're going to be there that Thursday, April 16th. I got Title Match Network coming in after us. Friday, we have major opportunity with what I just saw, the brand new MLW heavyweight champion, Killer Cross.
Yeah.
And yeah, he won the Battle Riot yesterday.
Yes. Yep.
And we're looking toward a very, very bright future. To say that we now have a residency on the Las Vegas Strip that is confirmed. They're asking us for dates every single month. They were so impressed with our makeshift production that they are now giving us full access to their $20 million production.
Jesus. That's
And starting next week, we're going to have our guys in there learning their equipment. So they were very, very helpful in terms of letting us use some of their stuff. But now we have a 12 camera video shoot that we will have access to.
nice. Yeah.
And, nobody's got a bigger smile on his face right now than Mikey that is now going to be able to use their front of the line equipment. And the guy Gabe there, their chief engineer, he's an ex-boxer, was excited about our event, and like he was running around. He was like me, but he had no reason to be
Right.
running around making sure like, hey, let's get that Chris Bay shot. There's no camera on him. He ran into the VIP suite with his own camera to do stuff. And I've never had a partner. And, it's great that they let us all use the place. And we got March 8th at the Silverton. But nobody has said, what can we do to make everybody succeed more?
Right.
And the CEO, Mark, is like, I had to send him information and trying to get numbers. And, how do we get more sponsors involved? Because they're an esports company that run major events with Microsoft, and Progressive is a sponsor for some of their events. And he's trying to figure out a way to get these people involved with us.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Which, ups everything. And bottom line is we did this without any outside talent.
Right.
When I say outside talent, I'm talking about outside talent that's FSW talent. I'm talking the Hammerstones and the Crosses and
Yep.
Eddie Limelight and TJP and guys that we've used over the years. But as they grew, we didn't use them as often because of budgetary issues.
Right.
Love to use Kevin every single show, but it's just not financially feasible.
Right.
And we are now in a position that many, many big things could happen. You know what I mean? It was a great show. There was a great crowd. We had a food and drink guarantee that we quadrupled.
Yeah.
So, they were extremely happy. I learned some different things that I forgot, like, hey, the food that got eaten, fantastic, but it was through the public house, so they only get a percentage of that. The HyperX, they rely on the drinks. So,
Right.
we discussed different things, drink specials and signature drinks, and maybe after the wrestlers, and he gave us a cup, and he told Mikey to design a little thing, and now maybe it's going to, I don't even know yet, maybe it's going to be an FSW, all you can drink cup at the show for X amount of dollars and things like that. But, the VIP suites were cooking. Your boy Glenn King, not happy. I put him on the stage. You weren't allowed to drink or eat. So him and Red Cup ran back up to the VIP suites where they ate and drank, which, of course, we want them to eat and drink. And, the only negative is there's only so many seats that could sit on the floor. So, hey, we'll expand the stage area to a second row and try to maximize. But because of what they're doing for us on the venue charge, it's much easier for us because the budget is bigger.
Yeah.
We're going in there and we got the clean slate. And as I said, we met Tuesday, we met Wednesday, and, sky's the limit. And it's like, you can't go look at a TNA show and say, oh, what a way better room that is than what FSW's got. If somebody's got a better room to run a wrestling show than FSW right now, that isn't WWE or, AEW in those giant arenas, it's like our arena's smaller, but it matches up to everything that WWE has access to.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a 50-foot video wall next to 2 video walls. You know what I mean? And it's like, how great does everything look in there? And it's like, now we're not having to bring in our little stuff, which, we were overachievers since day one when it came to the production.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's like, now somebody is giving us, hey, yeah, sure, use our stuff. Like, what? It reminded me of the days when we were at the Rio and we looked at their arena, and it was like they had everything in there, and it's like, man, if we could get in there to do that. Well, this one has a much better structure because it was craziness over at the Rio, and bounce checks and not running show. It was all, weird over there. Money laundering. Who knows what the hell was going on? With these guys, it's like, hey, what about doing the after party with Layla Gray and Chris Bay? Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Hey, what about doing this with a comedy thing? Oh, yeah, that's good. And it's like the Hall of Fame ceremony, plans right now are for the anniversary show to be there, and it'd be a 2-night event. And what if we did a 2-night event like we did at Diversion back in the day? We have so much talent. Can we do something where, hey, it's $50 for front row, but hey, buy both days and it's $75?
Right.
And because we have that talent. There's so many guys that weren't able to be on this show. And that's counting having a 5-way scramble and having a guy who's been with me since day one, Remy Marcel, basically in the kickoff pre-show match.
Right. Yep.
and we had to add Maserati, and that became a four-way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was, we saw Duke Lawrence, but he wasn't on the show, and he's the number one contender.
Yeah.
And Jay Vidal and Bateman had to force their way onto the show.
Right. Yep.
So it's like, man, we got No Escape March 8th. And, we definitely got to focus on that because it's easy to lose focus when, this thing is happening. And it's like Mania week, they're going to have to go through me to possibly get on a show out there. They aren't going to just bring anybody in. They trust Joe. Joe's earned their trust. FSW came in, we helped him out, did things. It's like, oh, don't be touching the chairs, or, I maneuvered him and things like that. But like they take care of their venue. You're using our venue. What do we need to do to help you? And it's just like, man, it's mind-boggling. Hey, Kyle's about ready to give me a basic parking pass. Like, I can hang out at the Luxor whenever I want. Like, hey, when are you coming by? They're doing they invited us to come check out the Rumble on the screen, but because we have a show at 5, and plus the fact that it's 10 in the morning, but even I had thought about doing that, which is something we'll do moving forward, is probably the Sunday have a WrestleMania watch party there.
Right.
And maybe, some of the pay-per-views, hey, come on down, eat and drink, blah, blah, blah. And we're talking about multiple events of FSW, but what could we do there? Podcast, talking about doing a podcast with Chris Bay there. I'm like, they're all for it. And it's like, but they want numbers. And I'm like, hey, no offense, but Joe DeFalco ain't going to bring you 10,000 views on a podcast. But maybe if Chris Bay wanted to do something and he was behind it, that's a possibility, So that there's so many different things that late night shows, I think a wrestling show every week on the Strip geared toward the tourists, when I've talked about, the Hustler Club back in the day and trying to do that 21 and over type show, like, hey, what kind of show? And I always joke about, the Splat Pack and Santana Jackson, and even in the meeting, throwing it around, hey, what about, what about this tag team? And they're the Green Man Group. You know what I mean? It's like, there's so many different things that, like when I brought up Slammy Davis Jr. to the CEO, he laughed. He's like, oh, that's funny. Right. And it's like, the idea is what can we do to bring the tourists that are roaming around the Luxor? Everybody's looking for something to do. That's why they got that play game now where you go in and you pay a couple bucks. And I looked at it with the wife the other day, and it was like a fun little thing to do. And people need also affordable things to do while they're in Vegas. And if we have access, I had a couple that I met. We had one of our students, Asha, was out there. Hey, wrestling show, come on in. Tickets start at $20, blah, 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 blah. And they walked in, and I just happened to be the one who saw them in the thing, and they were kind of looking around. I'm like, hey, how you doing? How can I help you? Oh, yeah, the lady up front, we got tickets for the Blue Man Group. So we decided to stop in. They bought 2 GA tickets. They went to the bar. They bought a couple of drinks. And then I happened to see them before they left for their show. And they were like, hey, we wish we could have stayed longer. We had a lot of fun. This was great. He was from Jersey, and, they knew old school wrestling, but they don't watch it. They don't go to any shows like that. And they're like, hey, you're going to do this often? And have you been doing this? And it's like, well, we've been doing it for 17 years. This is our first show here, and it seems like it's being a huge success. So we expect to be here. It's like, oh, yeah, we come to Vegas pretty often. We definitely would love to check out a show.
Right.
Boom. Here's my card. You know what I mean? And it's like now we have access. And the other thing Mark said, hey, give us a 15-second video and we're going to play it throughout the Luxor because they have the rotation system. They're
Right.
going to pull the HyperX commercial at least a week before ours show and put it in. Now, I don't know. Is it the Luxor or is it all the MGM properties? Because I know when I drive past the MGM, it says go check out Carrot Top at the Luxor. So who's to say that's not playing in the small screens everywhere?
Right.
And now we have access. There's, you know, even just say at the Luxor, there's thousands of people that go through there every day.
Right.
You know, if 0.1% of them are wrestling fans and are in town, well, now maybe we got an extra 20, 30 people. But guess what? It only seats, 500 standing room only. We're going to maneuver some chairs, and we had close to 400. And that was a show that was a test run. And all our fans, as usual, and came out and supported. And I talked to as many people as I could. I Facebook messaged as many people as I could. And everything was as positive as can be. Some of the most minor things. Hey, we ordered food from the bartender, but we never knew when it was ready because he's running around doing his stuff. And it's like, stuff that easily can be worked on. And I've never seen a group of people, the staff that were there, as attentive and like the higher ups making sure their people took care of business.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, this is the same company that is running, a Microsoft Excel 3-day thing where they're probably getting $250,000.
Right.
They really, every business needs business, obviously, but to pay their rent, FSW is not even, a blip on the radar, but it gives an opportunity for their staff when they have just gaming there and there's not really much going on at all. Now they got themselves, 15 events a year.
Right.
Just from the wrestling, let's see what else we can bring to the table. So, if anybody's out there, and you have any thoughts, because we're looking at different things in the video gaming world, and it's like, modern day, like, hey, maybe we have our tournaments there with our wrestlers coming in and doing things, and it's like, what can we continually bring? They had their if you go on Netflix, they had the hot dog eating contest. If you look at it, it was from the HyperX Arena. Right. So they do multiple events. So if they can do that, we could be a part of these things to where FSW is now there for these events. And we could mingle with the influencers and the CEO there, he's, his Rolodex is filled with everybody.
Right.
I have a good Rolodex for wrestling people.
Right.
He has a great Rolodex for business people, influencers. He was talking about, what he had to pay. And it was like, holy shit. Like, they're doing these events and they're getting the influencers involved, and we had to pay this guy, $70,000 for 4 events. It's like, holy fuck. And now they're also talking about doing one by the UFC complex. So, we're in. Now it's our job to continue to produce. Now the hunger begins. It's like we go out there and it's like, man, how do we make this better? We set a standard. We can't drop from that standard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things he posted this week was this little flowback flyer here of Hyperstreak versus Kenny King from way back when. Was that
10 years ago?
Yeah. 10 years ago.
And he's like, why'd you post it now? I'm like, dude, it just showed up on my memory. If it showed up before the show, I would have put it up.
So when you look at that, and then of course, you look at what we had this past Saturday. Was it a fitting send off to Kenny after all these years? And how hard will it be for Kenny to make his way back? Will we see Kenny in a ring again?
I can't see why not. Kenny's a legend, but Kenny has always been a guy that we put him in positions and pick and choose. You
Right.
know, he's done a lot for this business. He's done huge things for FSW, but Kenny has always been that special attraction guy.
Yeah.
And thankfully, and again, this was an idea of mine, like, hey, we're doing a thing on the strip. I found out in November at Luck of the Draw when we had Kenny on the show that he was going to be leaving and didn't know exactly when. And then when we got in December, because it wasn't until Luck of the Draw that I even found out about possibility with the HyperX. That's when Kyle hit me up because it was about the one night with Cross.
Right.
And then as we put things together, my thought was Kenny's my first champion ever. Kenny's the guy that I came to when we needed help with the school. And he's the Chippendale dancer. He's the UNLV football player. He is the OG. Everybody knows the Godfather. He was from Vegas. He ran Cheetahs, blah, 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 blah. But
Right.
for modern day wrestling, Kenny King was the epitome of Las Vegas. How do I not do a show on the strip and have Kenny at the forefront of that?
Right.
Which becomes the big thank you also for the guy. And it's like my current heavyweight champion was pretty much trained by Kenny King.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when the young pup got the match with Kenny King that I put together. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, we
Right.
needed a match for the Silverton. Let's put in Hyper Streak. So, that's the full circle moment that it took 10 years, obviously. But for the old time fans, it's that remembrance thing, and hey, it's the nod to something like that. And you're always looking for that because, everything is based on everything that happened before. You
Yeah.
know, I saw some idiot claiming that Logan Paul stole something. And of course, somebody was like, yeah, 10 years before Logan Paul. I mean, 10 years before Logan Paul did it, that you claimed you did it a year and a half ago. It was done this way by that person. You didn't invent nothing. I always joke when we had Cross get in the ring, and while he was wrestling, he was also commentating. And literally a month later, I believe it was Sheamus did the same exact thing on SmackDown. It was like, oh, they stole it from FSW. But I already know I stole it from seeing somebody else do it years ago.
Right.
But nobody remembers that. Hey, let's go the ode to the finish. I remember one time we had Legacy versus Funny Bone, and we did the finish with the Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude, and people were like, oh, that was a really great finish. It's like, yeah, go watch Rude. And Bobby the Brain Heenan was hiding and grabbed the leg and held it down. And it's like, you always remember certain things growing up. That kind of reason why, if you want to be a booker in wrestling, you probably should know wrestling. You should know the history and the past and going through things.
Right.
And, we want to make moments, and hopefully, this is a moment, we can build upon. and it's a great moment because yes, FSW is the first local wrestling company in Las Vegas history. Not only, has there been a company that did a show on the Strip? Yeah, in the ballroom, we did something with Klein Rock with Psychosis versus Jacob Austin Young.
Sure.
The collective is going to be on the Strip. Yeah,
Right.
in a ballroom. We're on the main floor, motherfuckers.
Right. Yeah.
This is a residency. Congratulations to us. That's what hard work does.
Yeah.
But as hard a work that I do, still didn't think it was going to happen.
Right.
Because I've seen what they want for the fucking ballrooms on the Strip.
Right.
People wanting $8,000 and $10,000 to run a show.
Yep. And Booker's
Samstown can't even do Samstown for less than $8,000.
Right. And we saw, Booker came in, ran the show once on the Strip,
in a ballroom.
In a ballroom, exactly.
Where they paid more than we would have paid to be at the Silverton.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess it was in the MGM on the 4th floor.
Yeah.
In a room that nobody in the world knows is there unless they were coming to the show.
Right.
Shit, we didn't even know where it was. We had to fucking walk around and find it. So, we've made history. And, I'm still, numb from just everything that they've done for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, thank you. It's kind of like when Hammerstone's thanking me for the Sharp match. Like, thank you. Thank me. You fucking nuts. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I'm very disappointed that we still got to wait 2 more months to come back.
Sure. But it also gives that build time in terms of being able to prep and utilize more of what can be
it
offered.
gives me time to lock in Hammerstone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Or the MLW champ. So,
I didn't realize the show was on Thursday. I messaged him yesterday. Hey, I had to think, blah, blah, blah. He didn't message me back, which, Kevin's usually pretty good about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I was like, oh, he was at MLW yesterday, which Zamaya wrestled and she beat Carolina Cruz on the show.
Yeah.
Hammerstone beat the former Baron Corbin on the show.
Yep.
Our other boy, Austin Aries, won.
Yeah.
My guy, Simon Gotch, was in the Battle Riot. And like, man, what an FSW reunion. Because we've also talked with Mr. Cross. And there is a good possibility. I'm putting it out there. You got to get that. What does my kid usually say? What's that word?
The juju out there?
No, when you try to make something happen to the universe.
Karma? The good.
You're old. You don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Manifest. Yep.
Manifest. That's the hip new kid word. Manifest.
Manifesting. Not the manifest destiny, but that's what they talk about. Oh, you got to manifest it to the universe. That's the terminology that's being used. So the discussion is about: is it possible we can do natural born killers?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Kevin, you got to understand one thing. I said to him, I'm like, as big as GCW is, they take over Vegas as part of the secondary wrestling market.
Right.
They're not, they're going to get WWE fans, but all wrestling fans come to that. And the secondary market of GCW, which is big, I love GCW. but you're a guy who is a mainstream superstar.
Right.
There's no way we can't get the maximum 500 people in there for a Natural Born Killer show presented by Killer Cross.
Oh, you can probably also get, I don't know, maybe a Zoe Stark if she's healthy by then.
I doubt it because she's going to be
Natalia.
in I don't
Well,
think that.
but you know that they've lent those people over.
Yes, but
Come on, Joe.
would WWE lend them to a Cross presented show?
I think they could. I think they could.
I'm just saying that there still might be some it might be awfully warm in that room there.
We'll see. We'll see if Cross is even available if he doesn't show up tomorrow in Saudi Arabia.
Boy, that would sure be a late thing by winning the MLW title.
Right?
That would be a pretty big swerve from Thursday night being in Florida to
Right.
showing up on Saturday
Speaking
morning.
speaking of showing up, one of the things that you pointed out on social media was that Steve Carino dropped by, which is always nice to see.
Well, here's a quick story. Again, it's amazing. It's like they should follow me around on cameras because there's always a story. So I'm on Facebook on probably Friday, scrolling down, and I see Steve Carino post, "Hey, in Vegas with the girl watching the Eagles at the Sphere." I'm like, that's crazy. Steve Carino's in Vegas on Friday. And I'm thinking, hey, I should hit him up, see if he wants to come to the show Saturday. But I'm doing a million things. And then all of a sudden, Jay Vidal comes in. He's like, man, I swear I saw Steve Carino checking out at the Luxor. That motherfucker looks just like him. I'm like, you know what, Jay? It's possible it was Steve Carino. So I go look for his phone number. And it's like, fuck, I could swear I had Steve Carino's phone number. No, it's because we're Facebook friends, and we have talked in the past. Hammerstone, when he came for the tryout years ago, he did the seminar, and I always tell people the best seminar that I've ever witnessed was Steve Carino's. And I always say I was never a big fan of Steve Carino. He was a guy who always bled in ECW. Dusty Rhodes fucked him up. I hate Steve Carino. Didn't know him, but it was like, as a wrestler, like this motherfucker just bleeds. That's all he fucking does. And it's ECW. So needless to say, we have the seminar. He's like, I said, if I was in college and I was a wrestling fan, like I would know everything about the business if I went to Professor Carino's course. That's how great he was in that seminar. And it's like, you chop off 3 fingers and you can count how many seminars I can consider like, oh man, this is like totally amazing, you know? So I send him the message and I'm like, somebody said that, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, we have a show. And he was like, where's it at? He's like, I'm like, the HyperX Arena at the Luxor. He's like, oh, I'm eating at a place that I can see the sign from here. And then all of a sudden, I'm running around and I didn't even know because he had already gone upstairs. And Kenny's like, oh, yeah, we took a picture, which we saw later. And he came around, but he was right by near the entranceway. And right before I was about to go on, we started talking for a while. And it was like, I was sat with him during some of the matches. He was like, hey, who's this guy? I'm like, oh, that's Shogun. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, he's a good boy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, he'd be a good guy to have around. He has, a story that is really worth telling. It was like 10 months ago. We thought he was going to have brain damage and we didn't even know if he was going to live. He's like, really? Yeah. So I was trying to give the rub to Shogun and he's like, he was really fucked up, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Steve's awesome. And he's hung out. He had like an 11:50 flight or 10:50 flight. So he had a bail, but he stayed for a good amount, went upstairs, talked to some people. and even talked about the ID guys. Oh, I love Oasis and Ice. Yeah, I can't believe they got rid of them and that. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, Steve Carino's awesome.
Yeah. And we'll just go off of that. And this picture that you posted, a little Dominic Mysterio tune-up. It looks like, huh?
Yeah, dude. Dom's been out and he's had some injury issues, so he wanted to. He asked me. He's like, "Hey, when do you have a regular class? Like, I want to kind of roll around in it if possible." And Kenny was supposed to be there. I guess he didn't show up. Thank God Sharp was there.
Yeah.
Because we didn't need Beans running the class for Dominic, so thankfully we had the big gun, the heavyweight champion in the house. And of course, it's like, so if you look at TV class and if you looked at Dominic's there, because I was contemplating, do I let everybody know Dominic's going to be there?
Right.
Because I want to let everybody know, because if they see him and then they start being Marky Mark and the Funky Bunches and they're all trying to take pictures, it's like, this guy's here for business. So it's like, hey, Dominic Mysterio is going to be on hand. Act like fucking professionals. I know you're fucking oohing and ahhing and things like that.
Right.
So, but for the most part, everybody was pretty respectful. Dom was super cool. I was finishing up my meeting at the HyperX, and Kyle, of course, because he's a huge wrestling fan. Oh, Dominic's going to be there. I'm like, yeah, come on in. We'll get a picture for you. And he was in, he posted it and he was excited. And, he invited him to the Rumble thing if he was going to be around. And he's like, what time is it? 10 in the morning. He's like, yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. So I think, spoiler, I think Dom might be watching the Rumble on a tape delay.
Yeah.
I think he might be going to the button and saying, start from the beginning.
Right.
Now, was that on Peacock?
No, that's on ESPN.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. So there you go. So I thought I was going to be able to watch it when I woke up. So the only way I can watch it is I have to go to the HyperX Arena.
Well, there you go. Give me an excuse to go to the HyperX.
Yeah, it's just at 10 because we've got the kids' class at noon, and then we got Future Shock at 5. So yeah. I might have to be a Steve Carino, show up for an hour.
Right. And you just said it, Future Shock on the 31st, 5 p.m. One of the announced matches here, Jaden Cole versus Ricky Tenacious. Man, Jaden Cole, the five-way did exactly what that match needed to do, man. Jaden ended up looking like $1 million, man.
Yeah, and that was the thing with that is a lot of different dynamics. Shogun looked like a monster.
Yeah,
it's good to see Adrian Quest back. Damian Dredd back into the singles stuff. Bryce Saturn, tremendous. Yeah. But the key was a lot of experience in that match, other than Jaden Cole. Yeah. Now, how is he going to fit in with the former heavyweight champion Shogun, former No Limits, former, tag team champion Damian Drake, Bryce Saturn, a former, but Bryce Saturn is a guy we know who's killed it with Ice and killed it with Sharp, and he's wrestled really good people, and Jaden Cole, without a doubt, I just got word he had wrestled last week. Remy was like, him and Devin Reno killed it. And he's got all the attributes necessary. And it's more than the attributes of wrestling, it's the attributes of mindset.
Yeah.
Which has seen many a person falter despite the physical abilities. Right. And Jaden Cole seems to have a very good head on his shoulders, and that's going to take you a lot further than just being a good wrestler. So,
oh yeah, yeah, and the way that everything came together, Bryce Saturn and Jaden Cole. That'd be something to see down the line.
Well, you're not going to have to wait very often because on February 13th, the first match signed is Jaden Cole versus Bryce Saturn.
Nice.
So, things people see coming out of that match.
Yeah.
That is where we need to go in that one, because that has title ramifications for the winner of that match.
Sure.
Bryce looked solid, didn't get pinned. Now let's do the one-on-one where, hopefully we got a winner.
Right. And speaking of title, we got San Lu now with both Nevada State and the why can't I think of the other?
No limits.
No limits. Oh my God. So what happens now? How is that going to work? Is there going to be a title vacation? Is there going to be a title merger? What's going on?
The plan is he has 2 titles, and I'm pretty sure Jordan Oasis is gonna, try to influence into getting a rematch, which is deserving for a guy who had just lost a back and forth match that San Lu won. But the plan is he will, if he continues to win matches, the idea is some matches will be for the Nevada State title and some matches will be for the heavyweight, will be for the Nevada State title. Nevada State, no limits. It depends on that situation.
Have you ever done what they did at WrestleMania 2000 with the IC and the European belts both in the same match? So you had one pinfall for one belt and then the other pinfall for the other belt?
I didn't realize that's what it was. I didn't.
So when Angle lost both of the belts in that match at WrestleMania. Gotcha. Yeah.
Well, we've never had a singles double champion. We had back in the day Graves and Hammerstone being the tag champions. And then crazy enough, one was the heavyweight champion and one was the Nevada State champion.
Right.
So it was. So if Graves wrestled, obviously the tag titles weren't on the line. And if Hammer wrestled singles, the tag. Now it's like, okay, where are we going with this? Because he's in Nevada State and no limits.
Right.
What title will this be for? And, it's still in the discussion stages on exactly where we're going. So we'll figure that out. February 13th will be San Lu is on the show. Now we're starting to put together the show.
Yeah. With that, another question regarding that. Do you think that that he would be up for defending both belts on a show? Would that be a possibility?
2 separate matches, you mean?
Yeah, 2 separate matches. And does the envelope get any heavier at that point?
Well, see, probably not on the same show because we have so much talent to have Hero Lou work twice. I don't know if it's necessary, but if we decide on the anniversary to do back-to-back nights, why couldn't he defend on Friday night and defend on Saturday night?
Right. So an anniversary show could be,
a 2-night extravaganza.
Yeah.
So I saw our guy Beans posted something about Triple H or that thing went up so quick I didn't see. It was something about WrestleMania 18. There we go.
Yeah, that's when. Remember, it's when the WWF and the WCW had been unified.
Gotcha. So there you go.
Yeah,
that was 24 years ago. I can't believe Beans knows that. He was been 3 years old. He was watching it live and he was like 3.
Well, that's the stuff you remember in life. Title changes and defenses when
No,
you're
for
a
sure.
kid.
100%.
Uh, all right. So titles. Boy, Suavecitos just ended up sliding out of there with those tag titles, man. And mariachis. God, we say it every week, but how the hell are those guys more over than like anything else that I can think of right now? It's unreal.
Well, thanks to our new commissioner, Chris Bay, he has a major announcement to announce about the tag team titles for No Escape on March 8th at the Silverton. Two. There you go. I was close.
Awesome. So we'll have an announcement coming from Chris, which is by the way great to see Chris in an active role now. This is phenomenal, man. Just so cool.
And again, that was, part of, hey, this is a special show. We need to have some special moments.
Yeah,
So, you know, so there's a lot of things that are going to be happening. Obviously, at No Escape, G Sharp will be defending against Duke Lawrence.
yep.
And it's easy enough to say it is for the heavyweight championship. So, yes, that will be inside the steel cage.
Can you make that one where the to win the match you have to escape the steel cage over it? I just want to see Duke climb the cage.
No, I think you actually want to see if Duke gets on top of the cage that he doesn't crush it. And now we owe to Birdie for all the fencing because he fucking broke the shit.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like just to see Duke maneuver on that cage and not for that thing to just go.
Hey, who's to say he doesn't want to do a top of the cage
Super fly.
splash on G Sharp? I guarantee you, if he hits that, he will be the new heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that G Sharp will never have had anything like that in his life come down on him.
Thankfully it'll be the last match because there's a good possibility the boards will break and we can have a Big Show Lesnar moment right there.
Jesus. Oh man. Big boy, man. Big boy. What'd you think of the women's match? Of course, Maserati worked into that match as well.
Yeah, with Fallon and Taylor York, we have two definite high potentials.
Yeah.
They're good, but we know they're going to be better. They've already improved tenfold from when they first started. And to be honest with you, they were future shock talent.
Yeah.
Who kind of maneuvered their way into main roster spots. Fallon did the ultimate. She moved to Vegas to train with us because her number one issue was she didn't really have training place to go where she lived. Dom's was way too far. She couldn't drive 3 hours every day to go train or whatever. And he's not going to accept somebody who's if you wrestle with Dom, you can't be wrestling in her home base.
Right.
Because whatever those things are. So needless to say, she said, screw it. I'm coming to Vegas. I can get my work in. I see her there as much or more than 90% of the people that come to the school.
Yeah. Yep.
Putting in the work. She's got her notebook, takes notes. She listens well. She wants to get better. She wants to be elite. And that's the thing. There's a lot of people who want to be on shows.
Right.
There's a lot of people who say they want to be in WWE or AEW or they want to make it in professional wrestling. But if you watch their actions, there's no chance in hell. And they're content at where they're at.
Right.
Hey, where you been? I've been training. Oh, yeah. Well, I got to work. Okay. Well, I get that you have to work and you got to pay your bills. So, but you're not able to maneuver anything to be here more than one day a week. Like you're struggling to get on cards, and you might get on Future Shock, but you're probably not really on the main shows. But
Yeah.
you're stagnant. You're not going to magically get better because you worked one Future Shock a month. You're going to get better because you're going to have 50 practice matches over a month.
Right.
With a hell of a lot of great talent that's in that building.
Yeah.
Every day. You're going to walk in and, hey, there's the Nevada State and No Limits champion, Hero Lou. And there's Shogun. And there's Ice. And there's Oasis. And there's Damian Drake. And there's this. And there's Bay. And there's that. And it's like, there's all these people that are there. And you're mixed in with a lot of young talent that are all hungry.
Right.
That are all trying to get on the shows. And then you got the Jaden Coles and the Foxes and the AJs and the Davions and the Demirs and all these cats that feel they're very deserving to be on the HyperX show or a Silverton show and not just be on because it's a battle royal or a rumble match. A lot of these guys, you're not, and it ain't a glass ceiling. You're just hitting a wall because look at them. Look at the talent that was on the show. It was like, okay, 8 matches times 2 is 16. Tag match, make it 20. A scramble. We got 25 guys. Where are you at on those 25 guys? And it's like, wow. Look at the top 10. Look at guys who aren't in the top 10 for a ranking because, man, Ice got a match with Sharp after he cashed in and won, and then lost after he got cashed in on. And now he's involved with stuff with somebody else. But it's like he's kind of far away from that heavyweight championship title picture. Because you got Bateman, who still hasn't really gotten an opportunity. He's got the case, but he's a top guy. And, Duke didn't get an opportunity, and he's the number 1 contender. And so now we know we got to get him on. And it's like, okay, at No Escape, there'll probably be about 7 or 8 matches. And you got lights out like Bodie. Lou Curtis got the win back. Where are we going with that? Lou Curtis has really earned himself a top position to where when you're one of these younger guys and you're looking at who's ahead of you, Lou Curtis wasn't even around.
Right.
The guy 8 months ago. But guess what? He's been doing this 11, 12 years. He isn't some new cat who just jumped you. He's a guy who's been putting in the work and putting in the time. And he comes in, he's already elevated ahead of you.
Yeah.
So, for a kid like Demir, who's a young kid, thank God Fresco and Watson want him to be in the faction because it's kind of incorporated him into even being a part of the HyperX show. He tried to help and it kind of cost him the match. So I don't know where the hell that's gonna lead to. But he got to be on the show.
Right. Yep. And got a big nice splash off there from the top rope there in the melee at the end when everyone came out to help Kenny. So
what do you mean? If I watched on Title Match Network, I don't know what even you're talking about. The last thing I saw was Duke decimating Sharp and Kenny King. What do you mean?
Well, Joe,
like an alternate universe.
Yeah, the reality of the dark part of the show,
Yes, for our fans only.
Right.
The live feed. Unfortunately, the pay-per-view time must have went off the air, I guess, from what I understand.
Yeah, it got late on the East Coast. You know, people had to
Yeah,
go to bed.
because usually we're doing an 8 o'clock start at the Silverton on the East
On
Coast.
the East Coast, right?
So
Yep.
yeah, it was 1:30 in the morning. Hopefully on title match.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. So again, Full Tilt now is going to be around the corner, April 15th through the 19th. Looks like there'll be some announcing going on as things kind of shape up now with that. But one of the things that you did announce is that tickets will be on sale for the ID showcase.
Yeah, I got to talk with Gabe. See, we're going to go with that. Try to put together the meet and greets and everything. I guess Gabe on the Instagram, because I couldn't find it, Mikey had to send me. He put over the showcase show, and sure made it seem like we might be seeing some big wigs coming to the strip.
Yeah, I could see that. They really are paying more attention to this stuff, from top to bottom, which is awesome to see. And man, if you have it in that little space, whew, uh, there'll be a lot of you might lose Mikey.
Those VIP suites might have to be on hold for certain people.
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna snatch up the production talent, dude, and that's gonna be it. All
What do you
right.
mean? He'll be grandfathered in. You know what I mean? It'll be like, we'll make sure that he has to be here for X amount of shows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's exactly how it would work. uh, Future Shock again is this Saturday at 5 p.m. At the FSW Arena. Um, any other matches outside of Ricky and Jaden?
Oh yeah, we got the card set. C4 first responders, Dave Mazzani. I think he's going to be out saving some people and fires that day. He's not able to make that show. C4 is going to wrestle Oliver Canaday of the Crusade after they've had their issues.
Yeah,
Davion Jaco and Adrian Rain will have their third matchup on Future Shock after what went down. They've split their two matches. A man who's made a living in Mexico, AAA, Steve Payne, has come to FSW. He had taken some time off, and he lives here now, and we've reached an agreement. And he's going to take on one of our fan favorites from Future Shock, Warren Moore.
nice.
And then the new tag team of JKM and Dante King, they're going to take on a hot tag team that's really been proving themselves. So this is a big match for both teams. The Chingon Cartel of Enrique Calderon and the former Flyboy, now known as Freddie Cordova. So, we're excited. If you put that flyer up, I think there's what else do we got on that
I don't know.
Future Shock flyer?
I already eliminated the flyer.
You eliminated the flyer. It was like 30 seconds ago. All right. Well, needless to say, it'll be a fun show. All tickets are just $20.
Yeah.
Show starts at 5. I got wind. They came into my office. The Golden Shower team of Jeffrey Excellence and John Trademark. I don't know if it slipped my mind or whatever, but somehow I forgot to put them on the card. So I said, either way, we'll get them in the show. We might have a kickoff match. So, get there early. 4:45, we'll have the match.
I'm just kind of I mean, literally there was golden showers in your office. It's just the worst tag team name ever, man.
Hey, I didn't come up with it. I come up with the good names. Gods of War, 1%. I think it's an Asian thing. I don't know. I think it has a different meaning than what you guys are talking about.
I hope so. Oh man. Anything else that we can say before we head out of here?
Nah, we got, big month of March. We got two huge shows. No Escape, always one of our biggest at the Silverton. And then March 28th, we are back. Ground Zero at the HyperX Arena. So we're really looking forward to that. We got some great things planned. Mania Week will happen 3 weeks after that. And we're putting together a wonderful bunch of events, at FSW, all day Wednesday, Thursday, there's going to be shows in both places. And Friday, probably the same thing, because they're negotiating with What Culture Wrestling, who's probably got one of the biggest followings anywhere. They got over 2 million followers, I guess, for their YouTube channel. And they're negotiating with them about them doing a SmackDown watch party on the Friday night. And then hopefully our show with Cross immediately following. So we're looking at which is fine. We don't really want to run against Joey Janela's spring break at 7. And the idea is we would run a show at about 10 p.m., which on Friday night on the Strip, literally 5 seconds away from the Allegiant. And then we're looking for a Saturday night after Mania. Mania ends around 8:30, looking for another 10 p.m. start. Literally, if you think we ain't going to have like 10,000 flyers, flooding the bridge, shit, I'm going to go do my best to have Cross basically preaching on the bridge that takes you from Allegiant to the Strip. Come watch his show.
Wait, can you have Kevin stand outside Allegiant and then just walk the whole pack of people who are coming out?
There you go. It'll be like the Pied Piper. Yes.
Yeah.
We can have Kevin and it's limited. Only the first 500 people that are behind him can get into the arena for the Cross show.
Right. Oh man. Well, again, big things going on. It's crazy right now how much is happening, and it's not going to slow down. So,
and how good did your logo look on that dome, huh?
Dome's pretty sweet, isn't it? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's and they have so many selling points there, so it's like
just looking at their control room there too, with all it's mind blowing. It's like it's a television production center. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming out and making it a success. And the first of many to come. So, make sure you keep your ears peeled and come on out. And Title Match Network, of course, if you are not in town or can't catch Feature Shock this Saturday. So then, happy wrestling, everyone.